this thing that's reared its ugly head again with young people about self-love. Um, where it's like, okay, you do need to take care of yourself. I'll agree with you there. But if your focus is on you and your stuff, you haven't caught the whole purpose and idea of why we're here through Jesus, and it is not easy. It takes work.
Well, ironically, if you focus on yourself, it's not like suddenly you're happier. Those are the most miserable people. But the people that choose to love anyway also tend to be. We get to choose joy. It's weird how much of this is an emphasis and a focus. And obviously, you make the decision to love, and then somebody empowers you to love. It's like there's a partnership that takes place, and we don't get it if we don't choose to love.
And we have to encourage each other through it. So it gets back to the whole idea that God created us for relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And the number one relationship he wants is for us to have a relationship with him. And if that's healthy, the rest of our relationships will be healthy. Mm-hmm. But if that one's not healthy, good luck. Yeah. Because then, what is your purpose? What is your reason? What's your motivation? What's driving you in your decision-making process? Mm-hmm. This is 1 John chapter 4, and it starts in verse 7. It says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him." I wonder, as he was writing this, if he was thinking back to what he wrote in his, the gospel, the account, because this is like John 3:16 right here all over again, right? He sent his Son, his one and only begotten Son, which some versions leave that out, and we always have to be careful. It's his only begotten Son, right? And then it is because he's love. And it goes on to say, this is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us.
So help me out here. Separate. Some people might say, well, God is love, and let's just leave it at that. So let's not have ethics. Let's not have morals, because all that matters is love. And it can be this unorthodox, or I don't know, stuff that's not sacrificial, or certainly not biblically ethical. But as long as it's love, then it's moral. And I guess there's a redefining of love. But so help me out here. Separate out. Can you talk about that a little bit?
We always talk about music, and you got the Beatles saying all you need is love, which sounds good, but we're talking about that's love as an emotion, really. It's not necessarily talking about love in action. Boston got it a little bit better when they said it's more than a feeling. So they so we can learn some things from rock and roll, right?
I don't know. The 60s had a more primitive view of love. The 70s with Boston got slightly more advanced, and then in the 80s, Bono apparently completely showed us what love is.
Says, I will sing a new song. The whole idea that God is love, which is very true. God is love, but love is not God. Those are two very different things, because we can take love and apply it to all kinds of things. I think love is one of those words that has been taken and twisted and turned into so many different things that people, for us, it's hard for us to have a clear idea of what love truly is. Love doesn't mean that I just allow people to do whatever they want to do. That's not love, but that's kind of more, we're getting back to that kind of thinking of the 60s, where it's like, hey man, just love. But the difference was, in the 60s, they said, hey, live and let live, and let people do what they want. And now it's changed around to let people live the way they want to. And if you criticize it, we're going to condemn you and isolate you and characterize you as something evil. So it's not necessarily live and let live. It's more like live and let people do what they want to do. And if you criticize it, then you're the one with the problem, and we're going to, right? And it's like, how is that love? So
suddenly we're on the defense instead of tolerance has become intolerance, which is kind of weird, because it's just weird, the definition of love. And of course, that's what we're talking about. We're comparing sacrificial love with selfish love, it seems to me.
And so it's like, we get back to that whole idea of self-love, and how I view the world should be accepted by everybody. Well, everybody has a line that they'll draw in the sand. Eventually these people who are talking about tolerance, they see that as a way that they love other people. But even they have a line that they draw and say, no, we can't do this. Okay, well, where do you get to decide? Why do you get to decide what that line of acceptable and not acceptable, and how we love other people? So it's based on our emotions, our feelings. It's based on something inside of us, and that's where we end up with troubles, right? Because inside of me is a mess. I'm my biggest problem. The biggest struggle I have, Alex, is right here.
Yeah, me too.
And you have a problem with what's going on in here too, Alex?
With mine as well.
Oh, yours. Okay, I thought you meant
I'm pretty much okay with what's going on inside yours.